Santa Fe, New Mexico. A place where art and mystery blend into every corner. For me, Amelia, this city feels like a silent painting that sometimes suffocates me. On the surface, my life seems stable. A cozy little house, a steady job at the local library, and a husband, Elliot, who always appears loving. But reality is far from what it seems. Elliot, my husband, is constantly on long business trips. He works as a project manager for a big company in Albuquerque, but lately, his trips have become more frequent. Every night he sends me short texts. "How's everything?" Or, "I'll be back soon." Those cold lines of text aren't enough to ease the loneliness that's slowly consuming me. Then one evening, while wandering through a local art exhibit, something unexpected happened. In the dim yellow light, I saw Rhys, my first love from 10 years ago. My heart stopped for a moment. Rhys was still the same charming eyes, deep voice, and confident demeanor that made anyone turn their head. "Amelia." Rhys called my name, his voice filled with surprise. I stood there, unsure whether to feel happy or sad. We talked briefly, and he explained that he had just moved to Santa Fe to work at a rival company of Elliot's. But what kept haunting me after our meeting was Rhys's gaze. It didn't just hold memories of the past. It carried an unsettling understanding of my current life. He asked me a question I couldn't forget. "Are you really happy with Elliot?" I left the exhibit with a whirlwind of emotions. Rhys works at a rival company of Elliot's. A detail that lingered in my mind. Does he know something I don't? On my way home, I couldn't stop thinking about everything that had happened. My marriage with Elliot seemed to be slipping out of control. Silent dinners, rushed phone calls, and now Rhys's reappearance felt like a storm brewing quietly within me. When I got home, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Rhys. "Maybe you need time to think. I'll always be here if you need me." I put the phone down, feeling like I was standing between two worlds, the sweet but painful past, and the stable but empty present. After the art exhibit, Rhys started appearing more in my life. We exchanged messages, and each time, memories of the past flooded back. Sweet moments mixed with pain made me feel like I was standing between two worlds, the past and the present. But Rhys wasn't the only thing on my mind. Clara, Elliot's younger sister, began to grow suspicious. One day she called me, her voice full of worry. "Can you explain who that strange man is in the picture you posted on Instagram?" I froze. Apparently, Clara had seen the photo I accidentally posted after the exhibit. Under the dim lights, Rhys and I were standing together, laughing and talking. I tried to justify. "It's just an old friend, Clara. Don't worry too much." But deep down, I knew my explanation wasn't convincing. To make matters worse, my suspicions about Elliot grew stronger. One night when he called home, I decided to check his phone. What I discovered nearly knocked me off my feet. Elliot had turned off his location during his recent trips. What is he hiding from me? I wondered, my heart pounding like a drum. I tried to dig deeper. When I opened the car tracking app we installed for safety, I realized Elliot's car wasn't in Albuquerque as he claimed. Instead, it was parked at a hotel in Denver, hundreds of miles away from Santa Fe. I felt like I was being sucked into a vortex of doubt and fear. Rhys continued to send messages, gently asking, "Are you okay? If you need to talk, I'm always here to listen." His words sounded sincere, but I couldn't help wondering if he had ulterior motives. Or was he simply trying to help me escape a toxic marriage? In the midst of my confusion, I realized I was losing control. My life, a life I once thought was stable, was crumbling under the weight of lies and hidden truths. Unable to endure any longer, I decided to investigate further. One night, while Elliot was supposedly on another business trip, I used the car tracking app again to ensure safety. And then my heart shattered. Elliot's car was parked at a hotel in Denver, hundreds of miles away from Santa Fe. I couldn't believe it. Elliot hadn't just turned off his location. He had blatantly lied to me. But the worst part wasn't over. When I sifted through his credit card statements, I discovered that he frequently paid for expensive dinners at fancy restaurants, and the recipient wasn't me. In the midst of my turmoil, Rhys called me. Gently, he said, "Amelia, do you know that Elliot's company is facing serious financial trouble?" "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice trembling. Rhys continued, "There are rumors that Elliot used company funds to pay off personal debts. If this gets out, he'll lose everything." What Rhys said made me feel like the entire world was collapsing before my eyes. But at that exact moment, Clara visited me. She looked straight into my eyes and said, "Amelia, don't let Rhys manipulate you. He's just seeking revenge on Elliot for what happened in the past." I was speechless. Who should I trust? I recalled what Rhys had said about Elliot, and then thought about Clara's warning. Was Rhys manipulating me? Or was Clara just trying to protect her brother at all costs? In the dark of night, I sat alone holding my phone. Rhys's last message appeared. "You deserve happiness, Amelia. Don't let anyone control your life." But does Rhys truly want the best for me? Or is he just another player in this game of power? The next day, Elliot returned home. I decided to confront him. "Where were you really?" I asked, my voice cold. Elliot looked at me, his expression calm. "I told you I was on a business trip. So why was your location turned off? Why was your car in Denver?" I pressed, my voice rising. Elliot sighed as if trying to suppress his anger. "Amelia, you don't understand the pressure of my job. Don't turn everything into drama." His words made me so angry I could barely breathe. But before I could process anything, Rhys reappeared. He invited me to dinner. "You need time to think. Let me help you unwind." In that moment, I realized I was caught between two men. One I used to trust, and another who was slowly winning my heart. I agreed to have dinner with Rhys. In the dim light of the restaurant, he looked at me and said, "Amelia, I know you're struggling, but you deserve to live your own life, not the life someone else forces upon you." His words touched my heart. But when I returned home, Clara was waiting for me. She looked at me with accusing eyes. "You've chosen the wrong path, Amelia." I didn't know who to believe anymore. The next day, Clara called me, her voice urgent. "Amelia, did you know Clara found the messages between you and Rhys?" My heart sank. Clara had uncovered everything. She immediately alerted Elliot. That night, Elliot sat across from me, his eyes cold. "Make a choice, me or Rhys?" I felt like I was being pulled in two directions. Elliot, my husband, whom I once loved, but who now feels like a liar. And Rhys, my ex-lover, charming but mysterious. But what frightened me most was realizing both of them were controlling my emotions. Who is truly the villain here? In the dark of night, I sat alone, feeling like I was in the middle of a storm. I didn't know who to trust, and I wasn't sure I could even trust myself. The next morning, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was deeply wrong. My gut told me to dig deeper into Elliot's secrets, and so I did. I went through his emails, something I never thought I'd do. And what I found made my blood run cold. There were explicit messages between him and a woman named Laura, someone from his office. They weren't just casual conversations. They were plans for weekend getaways, late-night dinners, and even promises of a future together. But it didn't stop there. I also uncovered bank statements showing massive debts under Elliot's name. He had taken out loans in both our names without my knowledge. The weight of betrayal crushed me. How could he do this? How could he lie to me for so long? Before I could process everything, Rhys called me. His voice was calm but urgent. "Amelia, you need to leave him. Let me help you." His offer sounded tempting, almost too good to be true. But deep down, I knew there was more to his intentions. Was he genuinely trying to save me, or was he using me to get back at Elliot? I hung up the phone, anger boiling inside me. I felt like a puppet caught between two manipulative hands, Elliot's lies and Rhys's hidden agenda. Who was truly on my side? A few days later, Elliot called an emergency family meeting. Clara, Mr. Grayson, and I gathered in our living room as Elliot stood in front of everyone, his face tense. "I don't know what kind of game Rhys is playing," Elliot began, his voice sharp. "But he's trying to ruin my career and my marriage. He's feeding Amelia lies about me to turn her against me." Rhys wasn't present, but his presence loomed over the room. Clara nodded along with Elliot's words, though her eyes darted nervously toward me. Then unexpectedly, Rhys appeared at the door. He walked in confidently, holding a folder filled with documents. "Actually," he said, his tone icy, "it's not a game. These are the financial records proving Elliot embezzled money from his company to cover his personal debts. And these," he held up photos of Elliot with Laura, "prove his infidelity." The room erupted into chaos. Voices shouted over one another, accusations flew, and I sat frozen. overwhelmed by the storm around me. But the real shock came when Clara suddenly blurted out, tears streaming down her face. I knew about Laura. I've known for months. But I stayed silent because I was scared of what would happen if the truth came out. Her confession silenced the room. I stared at her, heartbroken and furious. Everyone I trusted had failed me in some way. After the disastrous family meeting, I knew I couldn't stay in this toxic environment any longer. I hired a lawyer to begin divorce proceedings against Elliot. It wasn't easy. The guilt of breaking our vows weighed heavily on me. But staying meant losing myself completely. Yet, even as I took steps toward freedom, Rhys continued to linger in my life. He sent me messages, checked in on me, and offered support. At first, I appreciated his presence, but soon doubts began creeping back in. Why was he still so invested in my life? One evening, while scrolling through old news articles online, I stumbled upon a story about Rhys. Years ago, after we broke up, he had fallen in love with another woman. A relationship that ended bitterly when she cheated on him. That experience had left him bitter and vengeful, according to the article. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. Rhys wasn't helping me because he cared about me. He saw this as an opportunity to exact revenge on Elliot. I felt sick to my stomach. Both men in my life had used me for their own agendas. I realized I needed to cut ties with both of them if I ever wanted to reclaim my independence. The next day, I made a decision that terrified me but felt necessary. I blocked Rhys's number and deleted all communication with him. As for Elliot, I stopped responding to his desperate attempts to reconcile. Clara surprisingly supported my choice. She visited me one afternoon, looking remorseful. "I'm sorry for lying to you," she said softly. "You deserve better than both of them." Her words brought me some comfort, but Elliot wasn't ready to give up. He showed up at my doorstep, pleading with me to forgive him. "I'll change, Amelia. I promise," he begged, tears in his eyes. But I knew better. Promises meant nothing unless backed by action, and Elliot had proven time and again that he couldn't be trusted. Weeks passed, and just as I started to feel like I was regaining control of my life, I received a letter in the mail. It was from Rhys. In it he wrote, "Amelia, I owe you an apology. I let my past pain cloud my judgment, and I used you to hurt Elliot. That wasn't fair to you, and for that, I'm truly sorry. You deserve happiness, and I hope you find it, even if it's without me." Reading those words, I felt a mix of emotions. Anger, sadness, and finally closure. Months later, I moved into a new apartment in a quieter part of Santa Fe. It was small but cozy, a fresh start for a new chapter in my life. For the first time in years, I felt free not just from Elliot and Rhys, but from the expectations and manipulations that had defined my relationships. I threw myself into rebuilding my life. I reconnected with old friends, picked up painting, a hobby I had abandoned long ago, and focused on setting boundaries. No more letting others dictate my worth or control my emotions. One evening, inspired by everything I had been through, I decided to share my story on Reddit. I titled the post, "My husband's business trips left me lonely, until my first love walked back in." I finally decided. Within hours, the post blew up. Thousands of comments poured in. From people sharing their own experiences to strangers offering words of encouragement. Reading them, I realized I wasn't alone. So many others had faced similar struggles and emerged stronger on the other side. As I closed my laptop, I smiled to myself. Life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. I had learned that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. And for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace.